Hey everyone, and welcome back to Vertical Blocks, where today we've got our guest of the day, Plena Finance, Sparsh, CEO and co-founder. And then on the Fantom side, we've got Sam Harcourt, Director of Business Development, and your usual host, myself, Juan Angel, Head of Marketing at Fantom. So Sparsh, thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure. We're looking forward to learning more.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I think a good place to start off would be just for anybody who's not familiar with Plano already or with your work, just give us a high level overview of what it is you're building exactly and the value proposition that you think this offers and brings to the industry.
Cool. Yeah. So I would say who doesn't know Plena? Plena is actually a self-custodial wallet, which is using the now trending term account abstraction or EIP 4337 for the past 2 years. And using this technology, we would actually provide our users centralized application like user experience. So this way, our users don't have to learn anything about the blockchain technology, and they can perform any action on the blockchain with ease, by paying the transaction fee with any token they have, and also performing multiple actions with just a single tap, saving them 30% on every transaction they do.
Sounds like a pretty good value prop right off the bat. 30%, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Tell us tell us a little bit about, because as we were talking about this before we started recording, most of the guests we have on here are also builders and entrepreneurs such as yourself, and a lot of the talk is about, okay, how exactly do you build a viable business and a sustainable one in Web3? So I'd like to understand, with what was your background coming into this, and what are some of the things that you learned along the way that are very different when you're thinking about business models, revenue, and sustainability in Web3 or crypto versus Web2 software as a service and other industries like that?
Got it. Cool. Yeah. So a bit about my background. So I have been in the blockchain industry for more than half a decade. I have been working as a blockchain architect and blockchain consultant for, I would say, over 15 with over 15 projects. I actually helped them with their product development on blockchain. And yeah, like first of all, I would just like to say that in all the projects that I worked, in most of them, 99% of them, none of the core team members were using their own product, right? And that's how I got the idea of Plena Finance, because I wanted to build something where users don't need to understand the underlying technology behind it, right? So, because when we started using Uber or Amazon, we didn't have to learn the technology behind Amazon and Uber, where they were using databases and APIs. We didn't have to learn that. So why the Web3 users should learn this one, right? The Web3 users should learn the about blockchain technology, and yeah, building a valuable business. It's all about engaging the community, because some of the projects that I've worked in, which touched a market cap of $500 million, it was all about engaging the community and making them use your application, right? Telling them the benefits of using your application, and so that they could actually relate to that project and also buy their tokens as well, which would actually help with increasing the token price in the future, and yeah, making that company profitable.
Very cool. Just really quickly, you mentioned account abstraction and that it plays a large role within your dApp. For those who are unfamiliar with account abstraction, could you give a really quick TLDR on what it is and why it can help your dApp scale so much?
Yeah, sure. So account abstraction is actually a proposal to make every user account on blockchain a smart contract account. And I won't get into the technical details of, I would say, the paymaster, entry point, and bundlers, all of these, I would say, things which I used for account abstraction. But in easy terms, to explain to the users how this works is, let's say, Sam, you have your own Metamask account, right? That is considered as an EOA, externally owned account. And the only thing these accounts can do is just sign transactions, right? Whereas the smart contract accounts or wallets can do anything on the blockchain they're programmed to do. And although they are actually controlled by EOS, but the users have full custody of those wallets, right? So it's like a normal account is for a normal user, right? And how account abstraction works is, let's say for your MetaMask account, we create a new smart contract wallet. Now, when you have to perform a transaction, you only have to sign that transaction data and send it to a relayer, and that relayer will send it to your wallet on the blockchain and pay the transaction fee for that. And what you would have to do is just pay that relayer a small fee in any token you have. So let's say if the relayer paid 5 cents in fee for transaction, you just pay them 5 cents in the token you like, let's say USDT. And the benefit of using account abstraction is, apart from paying the transaction fee in the token that you have, is that you could do a bunch. You could send a bunch of transactions together to the blockchain, to your wallet, and that can be executed as a one single transaction. So let's say if you want to provide liquidity to a DEX, right, which would take you close to 6 to 7 transactions if you're using any EUA account or any MetaMask account, right? But with account abstraction, you could do that in just a single tap of a button.
Very
So
cool.
So Sparsh, you just
Mhm.
highlighted, some of the clear benefits in terms of ease of use and other features. But and I think it's very clear for anybody who's used one of the other wallets we're talking about, how much this simplifies things. But let's say we've got somebody who has only ever used a centralized exchange before and they're curious about using DeFi. How would you explain the difference, DeFi, GameFi, NFTs, whatever it is, right? How would you explain the
Mhm.
difference between something like, for example, a MetaMask wallet and Plena, right? To somebody who's uninitiated.
So obviously, like when they download it, they would understand the difference because when the users start using MetaMask, I think you guys would be familiar with the experience as well. Because when I started using MetaMask, I had to go through because I was a developer, so I went through the white paper and I read blogs about it and I watched some YouTube videos as well. Because whenever you want to use any new dApp on the blockchain, you actually need to understand how that works, right? And let's say for using Uniswap, I had to understand why I'm doing these two transactions. Like when you have to swap your tokens, you have to like do two transactions. The first one is the approval one. The second one is actually the swap one, where the contract deducts the tokens from your account and swaps it with another token and sends it to your MetaMask account. And yeah, and on top of that, the users have to understand why do they need blockchain's native token. Because when a user is using a centralized exchange or a centralized application, they're able to pay the fee in the token they have, right? When you're, let's say, trading on Binance, for example, and you're buying Bitcoin from your USDT, you can simply pay the transaction fee or you can simply pay the fee in USDT. And also, if you're transferring those USDTs to someone on any chain, you can pay the transaction fee in USDT as well. So these are the major changes, and Plena actually provides you a similar user experience to a centralized exchange, where we give you all the same features. You're able to pay the transaction fee in the token you have, and also do everything in just a single tap.
So basically, you don't have to learn how to build the car's engine to drive it as it should be.
Yeah.
It's funny
Yes.
because there's a lot of talk about education in crypto, and I think at least the way we approach it is education is important, but from the standpoint of explaining why self custody is important, explain the benefits
Mhm.
that crypto can bring to your day to day life, not education from the standpoint of everybody needs to become a solidity dev to be able to use
Yeah.
these things, right? And so I think
Exactly.
account abstraction fits in perfectly there. One of the things I wanted to
Mhm.
ask about as well, which we've talked about a little bit in the past, is the chat and pay. So where does chat fit into all of this with what you're building?
Mhm. So, like, we were actually working with a lot of guys who were trading or moving millions of dollars in cryptos, and some of them actually sent these funds to some wrong addresses, and they were all using self-custodial wallets. So the reason for launching, one of the reason for launching Chat and Pay was where users can actually make secure payments to their friends or whomever they want to transfer those funds to, because there are a lot of payment applications in India which have Chat and Pay feature, and anyone can request or send their friends simply by going there and confirming that, yeah, this is your address or this is your, I would say, username, and I'm sending these funds to you. So I can just chat with him and ask him to pay me there, and I will receive those funds. And the other thing is we would be launching communities where paid communities where traders would come and create their own communities and bring in their community as well. So they would be able to place or post a trade in our application, and the users would be able to simply or easily buy that token from there. Even the tokens which aren't available on centralized exchanges as of now. because most of the tokens which get listed on centralized exchanges are the ones with really high trading volume, and by the time they get listed on centralized exchanges, they're already 10 to 20x up from their initial price.
So one thing that I'm curious about, and this is not specifically about Plena, but you did mention it, and I think it's something I'd like to learn about, is the state of crypto adoption in India and just the general sentiment around it, because you did use the example of India, right?
Yep.
I'm frankly not sure how many users we have in India that are on the Fantom blockchain. I don't know if Sam knows about that in terms of devs, end users, etc. But I'd be curious to hear from your perspective. What are things looking like over there? Is it optimistic? Is it a geographical area that developers should be focusing on and trying to expand into?
Yeah. So, like, from the recent stats, there are more than 100 million users who own crypto, and in India alone. And like, day by day, I'm seeing a lot of people getting into crypto, learning more about blockchain. And even from my college, like, a lot of people approach me and ask me how we can get started with crypto or start building on EVM compatible chains, right? So, and I have been seeing a lot of projects come out of India as well. So I think by next bull run, the number is likely to be tripled easily. Seeing that option.
That's awesome. We do have one of our validators, I think number 48, Fantom India. That kind of speaks to. We do have an Indian, I'd say, community growing. But like you said, Sparsh, it's definitely got a lot more to grow.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
shout out to Fantom validators.
A curious question is, checking some of the Nansen data. Plena is one of the higher, transaction dApps on Fantom. Would you mind explaining why that is? Is that just the higher, you have a high user base already coming from, I believe, Polygon you were before? I'm just a bit curious on where all those transactions originate from.
Oh yeah, so like we also got some sudden traction after the FTX crash, and the second one was after the craze around account abstraction. Even some big VCs are now approaching us. We didn't approach them, but they started approaching us after that because now they understand or recognize the importance of this technology. And yeah, so what happened was, like, after these centralized entities started failing, like FTX, right? A lot of people lost funds, and we were doing a lot of advertisements and posted a lot of blogs explaining users how Plena is a better alternative to other crypto wallets out there. So when these entities crashed, like, a lot of users lost their fund, they were looking for a self-custodial wallet where the wallets could be or the funds could be secure, right? So that's how, and we launched chat and pay feature, which was, I would say, crypto's first chat and pay. And a lot of users saw that, or the community saw that, and they downloaded our application. Like, I still remember in one day alone, we got close to 25,000 users when we launched chat and pay. And yeah, most of the transactions were being done from chat and pay, and a lot of these users are OTC guys as well. But later on, our users started exploring more features like the bridges, because when we asked our users to try exploring Phantom, because Phantom is much more cheaper than other blockchains that we support, they started exploring other features like the bridge. They started moving their funds from Polygon to Phantom, and they found it much more easier as well. And they also started buying tokens on our application, because we offer the best exchanger for the token swaps and also the safest swaps as well. And let me tell you how we are providing the safest swaps. So what happens is, when you go to any DEX, you the first transaction you do is the approval transaction, and that amount that you approve is, I would say, the maximum amount that can be approved for a transaction. The reason those DEXs do that, excuse me, is because so the next time you want to perform a swap with that particular token, you don't have to do that approval transaction again. But the problem with that is, if the DEX gets hacked, the hacker could remove those funds, those tokens from your account without like gaining your approval, because you have already approved that contract with, I would say, unlimited amount, right? With trillions of dollars. So what we do is, we approve only the specific amount or the exact amount that is to be used for the swap, and we perform or actually batch the approval transaction and the swap transaction together. So the users don't have to do two transactions, and also they get the security with the safest swap feature as well.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the infinite approval amount probably stems from a time when on other blockchains it was very expensive to send any transaction of any sort, and so it was kind of it ended up having its downsides. I guess we could leave it at that. But
Yeah.
so with this chat and pay feature, and you said users started using it on Fantom. What was it? Because you initially launched on Polygon, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
So what was it about Fantom that you said, okay, this is where we want to focus our efforts on now and start really pushing our users to adopt it there? What was it?
I would say there was a couple of factors, like when we integrated Phantom as well, right? So we were talking with the Phantom team for a while, and like what we noticed about Phantom was the block time was less, right? The transaction gets added to the blockchain pretty quickly, and the transaction fee is really low. And honestly, I don't want to pay $10 transaction fee for moving $100 of tokens, right? So that's no one wants to do that, and I don't think most of our users want to do that as well. And like what we wanted to do is there are a lot less users who are using dApps as of now or any blockchain application as of now, and we wanted to onboard really like we wanted to onboard new users, and for them we didn't want this transaction fee to be a problem or an issue, so that they don't use any or try out any other blockchain application. So that's why we actually asked our users to test out Phantom, and yeah, it actually worked out great because our users did close to 3.1 million transactions on Polygon in the first month alone, and in last 3 weeks, our users have also done close to 600,000 transactions on Phantom as well. They're slowly moving their funds to Phantom and trying it out as well. And honestly, they're loving it because the transaction fee is so low.
You heard it from Sparsh, not from the Phantom team. Um, it sounds like you're on track for qualifying for the gas monetization feature that we've launched as well. I don't know. I think we've talked about this a little bit, maybe offline. But Sam, is there anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I just think it's a smart move, especially with gas monetization coming out. A lot of transactions do go through your application, and essentially it'll open up a new revenue stream, which obviously you guys will probably use really well from your past progress. So that's definitely something to be excited about. I was actually talking to Jakob quite recently, and we should have the alpha launch coming very soon, which is exciting.
Cool.
Sparsh. So one thing I've noticed in the wallet wars, if you want to call it that, because it is a very saturated and competitive space, is there are some wallets that are trending in the direction of becoming hyper specialized for very knowledgeable, let's call them professional users. And then other wallets that are really going as far as they can to simplify the process, onboarding and otherwise. I'd say Plena fits more into that category than the former. My question for you is: do you see yourselves more at this current moment in time as going after the market share of other existing wallets that have DeFi native and crypto native users? Or do you see yourselves more focused on onboarding those who might be curious about this world, but have never actually taken the step beyond a centralized exchange because of all the technical know-how and the barriers to entry that exist at present?
So honestly, our aim was to partner with the blockchain applications and onboard new users and make them try their application, right? Because currently what's happening is, as I told you, the retention rate of decentralized applications is really low, and because of the poor user experience. So we it's really as you said, the market is really saturated, so it's really hard to acquire the users from who are using other wallets. But yeah, we offered a solution which was much more advanced than the wallet that they're currently using, and like I would say, but still our main focus is to acquire new users and give them a centralized application like user experience, a user experience most of them are familiar with. And yeah, so I think that's what we're going after.
So
Great.
basically, the whole market share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything. So Tell us a little bit, because we were just talking about gas monetization, and this seems to tie in. Tell us about the Plena Smart Wallet referral program that you're going to have exclusively on Fantom, if I got that right.
Yeah. So the thing is, we launched our referral program where users can earn up to $1 million in Plena tokens. So how the referral program works is, let's say I have a Plena wallet and I want to invite you, Sam and Juan, to download the application and test it out. So I'll just share my referral code with you, and when you download the application, you just enter the referral code, and when you complete 3 transactions on Phantom, those could be any type of transactions. When like once you do it, we both will receive 50 points each, or 50 cents of Planet tokens each. And the more you refer, the more you earn. And we have a leaderboard there as well. And we would be announcing the prizes for that as well. So whoever is in the top 100 would be making a lot more.
Wow. It's a cool, I like the leaderboard way of gamifying the process. That's very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, with gas gas monetization, you could, I guess, route that 15% that the dApp's getting to the referral program. So it could be like either a never-ending referral program, or you can just boost those numbers up to incentivize people even more. So it's I'm keen to see it. So it's already launched. Sorry, the referral program is already launched. Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we just launched it yesterday. The new version of our application was launched yesterday. It took forever for App Store and Play Store to approve our application, but I would say we're lucky because Uniswap still hasn't got their wallet app approved. So
Sparsh, you've talked a little bit about chat and pay, your referral program, and all these different features and initiatives that you're rolling out. Tell us a little bit more about what you've got on the horizon, what you're working on, and what you're excited about.
Yeah, so the next 2 features that we would be launching are Planner Connect and our NFT marketplace. So what Planner Connect is, it's kind of similar to Wallet Connect. You can say it's a fork of Wallet Connect, and but it's completely different in the user experience. What the dApps have to do is they just need to integrate it into their application, and the users need to download our mobile application. And by just scanning the code on their application, the users would be connected to that particular dApp, and the best part is the dApp also doesn't have to change anything in the code as well. So the code that they're using to send transactions on Metamask, they could use the same code, and same code to our application. What happens is when I approve a transaction on that blockchain or that particular dApp, I would receive a notification on my mobile application, and I can approve or reject that from the mobile application. And just like our application, everything would be done in a tap. Users would be able to pay the transaction fee in the token that they have. And one great thing about this one is the dApps, your token could also be used for paying the transaction fee. So that adds additional utility to the token as well.
Wow.
And the NFT marketplace. So users would be able to buy their favorite NFTs with any token they have. So currently, what happens is, let's say if I want to buy an NFT, which is of a particular project. Let's say the project name is X, and it is being sold in X token. So, and I don't have that token, so I would have to go to a DEX, buy that token, then come back and then buy that NFT by paying the transaction fee in the blockchain's native token. But in our NFT marketplace, I can just simply go there and purchase that NFT with any token I have, like USDT or Bitcoin. And what we'll do in the backend is we'll swap the token that the user have to the token in which the NFT is being sold, and buy that NFT for that user all in one single tap.
I mean, what I really like, and we've discussed it, but what abstraction really means at the end of the day with what you guys are building is you're allowing the user to get from point A to point B without having to figure out the mechanisms to do so, right? Which is kind of where we're at right now and stuck in the crypto world is we have this amazing technology, but it's still, Windows 98 user interfaces. And, you basically have to learn to code to get a lot of things, or basically, complete quests with a shepherd that will show you how to get across this bridge to this other one and do all these things. And this is, absolutely a game changer. And I can't wait for people to see it, get their hands on it. I was curious, going back to the earlier conversation about apps and the difficulties around them. Since you have the mobile apps, do you find that you're going after a mobile first audience, or is it cross device and you're trying to get people to use it on desktop and then migrate over to mobile? Like, is that part of the strategy that you're considering?
So the reason we went for the mobile application is 94% of the crypto owners are between the age of 18 to 40. That falls under the age group of Gen Z and millennials, right? And they depend heavily on the mobile application to perform all their tasks. Like even if you want to order food, you just open your an application in your mobile phone and order that to book a cab or for everything, right? And even for trading as well, because like I used to trade as well on Binance, but later on, whenever I had to place a trade or whenever I had to buy any token, it was super easy and convenient for me to place a trade on from the mobile application alone instead of using my laptop for that. And most of the time, I didn't used to carry my laptop with me as well, right? And when the market used to crash or my account was about to get liquidated, I couldn't do anything if everything was on desktop. So that's why we thought that it's the best decision to launch it on mobile. And also, I would say start this trend so that every DApp also start building the mobile application instead of launching a desktop application, because that's much more convenient for the users.
Yeah, I do wish that more crypto devs would take it into consideration. It's not just about it being more convenient in many situations, but there's large segments of the population worldwide, whether that's LATAM, India, Africa, Southeast Asia, that are not just mobile first, but mobile only. That is the sole device they use to navigate their day to day. So if you can't provide a good user experience for them on their native application, on their native device, then it's going to be difficult to onboard them. So good to see you guys have that covered as well.
And with that, do you know what percentage of your user base is from where in the world? Where's that say your largest user base percentage?
I would say 30% are from Southeast Asia, then 27% from India. Then we have a lot of people from Ukraine and Europe as well. In it, like if I combine the percentage for Ukraine and Europe, that would be close to 17, and then 5% are from US and close to 3% from Canada.
Cool.
Very interesting to see that the percentage is so small in the West compared to the rest of the developing world. I think that's really, we're kind of all focused on this small pool when in reality the massive pool is outside of this part of the hemisphere. So that's really cool to hear. Sam, anything else you'd add or any questions you have?
Just on that last point, it is a really cool point to see that there is such a massive community outside of the US. Everyone's so focused on US regulation, what's happening, what's JPAL about to say, or what's this new law that the SEC is going to come out with? Why are they attacking crypto in this sort of way? And then you kind of understand that it's so much bigger than just one country. And this the application Sparsh showing us today it's so much bigger. I mean, their user base is more in Southeast Asia than the US, which is really cool to see that playing out.
Yeah, I would say US is kind of confusing because you see so many bigger companies building so much on crypto, and their SEC and other, I would say, government organizations are trying their best to like make their population stop using crypto. So it's kind of crazy and confusing as well.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to understand is, you've seen it several times where a Western company wants to break into, say, the Chinese market or whatever, and they just fail miserably because they don't understand the cultural norms, the expectations, what people even want. What would you say for American and Western European developers and companies that want to expand into, for example, say a country like India? What are the things that they should take into consideration, and what should they prepare for ahead of time?
So if they want to launch in India, right, or southeastern countries, like what I've heard or what I've seen is that Indian consumers actually want the best services for the cheapest price, and I think that's the case with other southeastern countries as well. So and there's so much competition because there are a lot of developers in India as well who are developing similar applications. Like you see, when Uber was launched, there was a similar application in India, Ola, which was providing the same services for the cheaper rate. So, like, yeah, if they want to expand in India, I think the first thing would be to give them some kind of incentives for joining or trying out their services. But once they get hooked to your application, even Indian users don't mind paying crazy money to keep on using that. Like if there's a, I would say $100 subscription, not 100 would be a lot more, but if there's a, I would say a $50 per month subscription as well, I know that a lot of people would still be using that application if they provide a good service.
Well, you know what's interesting is I met somebody at some sort of, I don't know, conference or dinner, and they had tried to create a Spotify, like the equivalent of a Spotify for India. But what they found was that despite there being a massive total addressable market, the actual revenues that they could generate per individual were too low for what they wanted to accomplish. And of course, a lot of this has to do with not being able to have the same economies of scale with traditional Web 2 companies as you can with crypto, where with crypto, even microtransactions are affordable, they're feasible, and you can, be charging people, you could be streaming for a song, paying 0.00001 cent per microsecond or second or whatever it is. And all of a sudden these things are viable in a way where with the traditional infrastructure of Web 2, they weren't. And so I do see this creating a massive opportunity for crypto companies that can disrupt some of these more traditional services, whether that be in music, whether that be in finance, whether that be in rideshare, by going to countries like India, like places in Southeast Asia and Latin America, and figuring out, hey, there's actually the total addressable market here is huge, but now we actually have the technology where we can make this a feasible undertaking. So it's really exciting to just even think about the possibilities. I could keep rambling here for a while.
No, it's not rambling. It's a good point because, like Sparsh said, a lot of these markets, they want the best product for the lowest cost, right? Well, that's at least to acquire the first user base, and that's why Fantom technology is great. What we've built so far is a lower cost. It's the time to finality is the fastest out there, and you can provide that to the users who use your DApp when you come to Fantom. So this is such a cool story because it shows, coming to Fantom have opened, all these cool opportunities, whether it's, with gas and when that comes, or just, users happier with the lower cost for their transactions or paying to chat. So it's been a pleasure talking with you and learning about your, I guess, migration to Fantom. And it's really cool to see the on-chain stats with the transactions that Plena does do. You can't really lie about that. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, that's the beauty of blockchain. It's completely transparent. Like when I would say, told a couple of people about how we did 3.1 million transactions on Polygon, they didn't actually believe us. So we just shared the contract address with them, and everything was up there. And yeah, like we are also the number one wallet on DappRadar, and they show you how many transactions you've done or how many dollar worth of transactions you've done. So yeah, that's the best part about blockchain.
Yeah, can't wait to see you do 4 million on Fantom and then hook you up to the gas monetization program, and then get that flywheel spinning. So,
Yeah.
All right, Sparsh. Well, anything else you'd like to share before we wrap things up here today?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, I just want to cover one more topic. That's about the wallet recovery, right? A lot of our users are confused how they could recover their wallets when they use our mobile application. So we've actually simplified the user onboarding by allowing our users to create their account using Gmail, Twitter, and Facebook. So, and the benefit for that is they could actually recover their keys as well when even if they lose their devices, their mobile devices. So, what happens is there are three types of storing your keys, right? The first one is when you create your own wallet and you're in full custody of your funds and your keys as well. So, that also means that you have full responsibility of storing it in a safe place. So the worst part about that is like if the users lose their key, they lose their funds, right? And in Bitcoin alone, users have lost close to $100 billion. And the other one, the second approach is storing your funds or like giving full custody of your funds to a centralized exchange. But we all have seen what happened with FTX. So for any reason, they can stop you from withdrawing your funds or using your funds, right? And the third one, which we're using, is multi-party computation. So what happens is, in that case, in MPC is the key is divided into multiple parts. So there's no single point of failure. And what happens in our application, how we use it is we actually divide it in three parts. We divide the private key or seed phrase in three parts. So the first part is mapped to your, I would say, Gmail account or Twitter account. The second one is stored in your device. And the third one is actually your backup phrase or security question. So even if the user loses their device, they're losing the second part, right? And they can still use their, I would say, email or social media account and the backup phrase or the security question to verify that it's them who are trying to access their account, and they can still recover their keys. So that's, I think, a really important feature for the new users and the
That's
existing users as well.
that's through the account abstraction method, right?
Not account abstraction, but yeah, we do use that in account abstraction as well.
Cool.
So yeah, in layman's terms, people can now have self-custody over their assets without having to memorize their seed phrase or figure out how to store it securely. Which
Yeah,
sounds like a pretty compelling value proposition there for a lot of people. Yeah, even half the time I'm paranoid. Like, what if everything burns down and I lose it or forget it, and then I'm like laying
that's
awake
yeah.
at night going through the words in my head. But anyway, Sparsh, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Where can people learn more about Plena and what you're working on?
So, like, they can download our application and read our latest blogs there, and everything's online. Like, you can go to our website, and if you have any questions, you can ask us in the Telegram group. Otherwise, every technical documentation or any technical detail is on our website as well.
Perfect.
Cool. Where can we go to find this leaderboard that you just released?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part.
Where can we find the leaderboard for the referral program?
Okay, it's in the application. So when you go to the referral section, there's a leaderboard sign up there on the top right corner, and once you click on it, you would be able to see your rank as well, and the other people who are using the refer and earn program as well.
We'll drop a link to the referral leaderboard below once this video is out, so you can see where you rank, Sam.
Nice.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming in. Thanks for chatting, Sparsh, and looking forward to having you back on in 6 months or a year and see all the growth that's taken place in the meantime.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys, and yeah, I would love to join another podcast.